Okay, let's talk about use annotation scale for single line fittings. As you can see, it is activated by default. And if you remember, in our last session, we mentioned that single lines are visible when our view mode is set on either medium or coarse. We can't see them in fine. Let me remove these. I'm going to set the scale on 100 just for now. Now select pipe and then select a pipe type, for example, push fit, or any other type that we want to. I'm not going to change the dimensions, and then try to set or create a pipe, for example, like this. As you can see, I'm throwing some angles in there as well. For example, another angle here, 45 degrees. And then let's add a cross here as well. Okay, what else? I'm going to select these two. Then from here, cap, open end. I'm going to set a cap on these two to close down the endpoints. Remember, guys, we call all of these objects here fittings. I mean, these objects that I'm selecting. And also other objects such as, for example, valves or, junctions fall under fittings category. For example, I'm going to select pipe accessory here. Then from pipe folder, accessory, we're going to select something here. It doesn't matter which one. This is just an example. Okay. I'm going to set this accessory here. Okay. Let me actually increase the length of this pipe and select another accessory again, or the same one. All right, so as I said, this is a fitting as well. Now, if I set my view mode on medium or coarse, I would have a complete linear view. For example, instead of seeing 3D symbols and objects, we just see some, you can say, linear symbols. And they would actually represent specific modes. However, in fine mode, these symbols won't be that helpful. Why? Well, let me just hide this for a second. Because we would have an accurate view on the geometrical forms of these objects. I mean, for example, we could easily find out that we have a cross here, for example, or an elbow here, or a T here, and yeah, that's it. But when we set the view mode on coarse or medium, we're not gonna be able to recognize everything more completely easily. And we need to use these symbols to find out what we have or what are we working with. Now, what Revit says here, let me just set this on medium for a second. Revit says that if you activate this option here, I mean use annotation scale for single line fittings, you would be able to change up the size of these symbols through changing the scale. But again, remember, this would happen when the view mode is set on medium or coarse. If you set it on fine and then change the scale, nothing would happen. We have talked about this before. So only in single line mode, linear mode, coarse, medium, whatever you want to call it. Now, what if we go ahead and deactivate this option and then specify a default size like this, and then start drawing the pipes? So let me actually draw a new sample, exactly like what we have drawn before. Then we can compare the two. Okay, another 45 degrees, and move this upwards, then add the cross, and as I said before, we're going to set a cap on the endpoints here. And then we had a pipe accessory here as well. Okay, now let's change up the scale. As you can see, it has zero effect on the new sketch. Another important point here is that activating or deactivating this option won't have an impact on previous sketches that you have drawn before. In other words, this option will only affect the new sketches that you're going to draw. So again, if I activate this and then go ahead and draw something here, changing the scale would affect the annotations. However, if I deactivate it and then draw something, the scale won't affect the annotations. Okay, now there's a question here. Let's say this option here is activated and then we have drawn something, all right? And after that, we have deactivated that option, but I don't want the previous sketches to go through any changes when I change up the scale from now on. Now, the question is, are we able to do so? Is this even possible? Well, the answer is yes. How? Let's see. I'm going to select these. I'm going to select everything here. And then from Properties window, we have Filters. I'm going to open this list. Then we have Pipe Fittings here. Let's select it. When we do this, we would see a familiar option, Use Annotation Scale. It is familiar because it's the exact same option as before. So let's deactivate it. And from now on, the sketches won't be changing. See? If I go ahead and change up the scale here, nothing would happen to the sketch. And this is actually reversible as well. How? Well, we can again select everything. And then from here, activate the option all over again. Pipe accessory, activate it. Now for the dimensions of our pipes, we can again use an option that we have in Mechanical Settings window here. We can, for example, decrease this number or increase it. This is optional and based on what you need in your project. However, we usually set this on 3.